So, imagine taking a dusty folder of just really simple brand files.
Right.
A couple of colors, maybe a flat logo,
Right.
and turning that into a native working Android app.
hmm
One you can actually tap on your phone in like a single afternoon.
With zero coding and completely free tools. Brand files, website design, working Android app. 3 free tools. 1 seamless flow.
Let's build.
Welcome to the deep dive. We've got a genuinely fascinating workflow to unpack for you today.
We really do. We're exploring a completely free AI process from Google.
Yeah.
It's a workflow that basically takes your most basic brand materials and methodically translates them into a functioning, natively running Android application.
It's just a remarkable sequence to witness. We are tracking a very specific 3-step tool stack today. First, we use a tool called Pomeli.
Okay.
Then we move that data over to Stitch. And finally, we bring it all to life in Google AI Studio.
Right. And, what's crucial to understand here is that this isn't just a random list of cool tech tools.
No, not at all.
There's a really clear narrative through line today. It's a sequential chain. The output of tool A becomes the critical DNA for tool B.
Exactly. It's highly structured. You're essentially passing the baton from one specialized AI to the next.
You can think of it kind of like stacking Lego blocks of data.
Oh, I like that.
Right. Each step locks firmly into the next. You build a much sturdier structure that way rather than trying to mold the whole thing out of a single lump of clay.
That's a great way to visualize it. But before we jump into the specific mechanics of these tools, we really need context. We need to understand what we're actually building here and why this specific sequence matters so much.
Right. Because the end result of this process is not just a static mock-up.
No.
In traditional design, mock-ups are usually where these quick workflows just stop. But this specific stack generates 4 distinct usable things for you.
First, you get a complete, cohesive brand system.
Yeah.
Second, a functional draft website. Third, highly polished mobile app screens.
Yeah.
And fourth, a functioning app. An app you can physically touch and test on your phone.
It really covers the entire development lifecycle. Let's break down the roles of those 3 tools briefly before we dive deep.
Sure.
So Pomeli starts the brand direction, Stitch improves the design and layout, and then Google AI Studio builds the actual interface and the logic.
And the sequence of that handoff is absolutely vital here.
Right.
Each step provides vastly superior input for the next AI tool. You're essentially refining and clarifying the data at every single stage. AI thrives on constraints.
That makes perfect sense. But it does raise a pretty fundamental question for me.
Okay, what's that?
Why can't we just dump our logo straight into Google AI Studio and, ask for an app right off the bat?
Because AI Studio needs structural logic.
Right.
Without Pomeli's brand rules, you'll just get a chaotic mess.
Right, so a strong foundation prevents a totally messy final app.
Precisely. If you give an AI a blank slate, it hallucinates. If you give it a structured blueprint, it executes.
Good. So now that we understand the overarching architecture, let's start at level 1. We begin with Pomeli. This stage is really about getting the abstract idea out of your head.
And getting it into the system.
Exactly.
And this initial step, it requires a little bit of preparation on your end. You need to gather your context.
Yes, your raw materials.
Right. You might have an existing website URL to feed it, or maybe just some loose logo files. You can use brand colors, product images, or even a classic PDF brand guide.
You don't need every single item on that list, though. But obviously, more useful context helps Pomeli do its job. It needs to clearly understand your brand name, your core colors, your specific tone, and your general visual direction.
I have a somewhat vulnerable admission to make right here.
Oh.
I still wrestle with that initial blank page when starting a brand design.
Oh, absolutely.
Staring at a white screen, beat. It can be incredibly intimidating. It feels like cognitive overload.
Yeah.
It's a very common hurdle, even for seasoned designers.
Yeah.
That's exactly why Pomeli is so incredibly useful at this early stage.
Yeah.
You don't need a finished, polished design in your head. You just feed it your raw, messy materials, and it starts making those connections for you.
Pomeli takes all those raw materials and it generates what it calls your business DNA,
Right.
which is essentially just a core set of colors, fonts, and visual rules. It's the foundational identity of your project.
It creates a dedicated dashboard page for this. It explicitly shows you the brand overview and the stylistic details it extracted from your files.
Okay.
And you must check these details early. Don't just blindly trust it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But why is checking it so early so important to the workflow?
Well, catching wrong tones or weird color choices now is absolutely crucial. If the business DNA is fundamentally wrong, everything built on top of it will also be wrong.
Oh, I see.
The errors just cascade down the chain.
So you course correct early.
Exactly.
And once that business DNA looks accurate and feels right, Pimeli goes ahead and builds your first website. It drafts a hero section, your top navigation bar, and a main call to action.
And it's really important to set expectations right here. This first version will not be perfect.
Right. It's an AI draft.
It's just a baseline.
Yeah.
But it functionally shows you how the brand looks on a real structured landing page. It gives you a canvas to react to.
You will definitely need to edit it, but here is where the workflow gets really interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Instead of manual clicks and dragging boxes around, you use one clear prompt. You might just type, improve the hero headline.
Or, make the call to action button much more direct.
Right. You can also ask it to keep the overall layout clean. You give it targeted conversational instructions. Pimeli then processes that and regenerates a new version based entirely on that single prompt.
And you can easily compare the versions side by side. If the new one is somehow worse, which definitely happens, you just roll it back to the previous state.
Beep, beep. Once it looks decent, you go ahead and toggle it to publish.
Publishing is key because it gives you a live reference link. Then you move over to the brand book section inside Pimeli.
Okay.
You select 3 to 7 key images to generate a brand book PDF.
So you're choosing your logo images, some website screenshots it just generated, or other visual assets. Pimeli packages this into a clear reference document.
Yes.
And then comes a critical, somewhat administrative step.
Very administrative. You must meticulously save these outputs. You save the business DNA screenshot. You download that brand book PDF.
Right.
And you save all the individual image assets into one specific folder for the next tool. Organization here is everything.
So if this Pimeli website is just a rough draft, why bother publishing it to a live link?
Because it creates a stable digital reference link that helps the next tool understand the exact layout vibe.
Got it. It acts as a digital stepping stone for the AI.
Beautifully said.
Yeah.
You're basically just leaving breadcrumbs for the next system. Pimeli gave us the raw ingredients. It gave us the DNA. Now we move to level 2. We open Stitch. If Pimeli was the grocery store, Stitch is the kitchen where we cook a professional design.
I really like that analogy. So you start a brand new project in Stitch, and the very first thing you do is upload those specific Pimeli outputs.
Right.
You bring in the brand book PDF, the business DNA screenshot, and the draft website images.
You explicitly want Stitch to read and ingest those files first. You prompt it to create a clean, modern design direction.
Okay.
You tell in plain English to keep the brand style, the core colors, and the call to action style completely consistent with the documents you just provided.
So Stitch then takes that rough Pimeli draft and it basically upgrades it. It turns it into a highly professional, polished layout.
It really does.
It might autonomously add clear social proof sections. It adds key benefits and featured product grids. It fills in the structural gaps.
Yeah, and it gives you significantly more granular control over spacing, typography, and UI elements. It feels much more like a traditional design tool, but powered by natural language. Once that website design is solid, we execute a pivot. We instruct Stitch to make mobile app screens.
Right, because our ultimate goal isn't just a website, it's an Android app.
Exactly.
So you use the exact same brand direction. You want these new app screens to perfectly match the aesthetic of the website you just finalized.
And we specifically ask Stitch for exactly 3 mobile screens, nothing more. We want a home screen, a product or content screen, and a profile or settings screen.
Now, if you spot a flaw in these generated screens, Stitch has a truly brilliant feature. It's called the Modify Edit function.
It's incredibly precise, which is kind of rare for AI design tools right now.
Yeah.
Say your main call action button is just the wrong shade of blue or the text feels weak. You use your mouse to select only that specific button.
Okay.
You prompt Stitch to change it, and it updates just the button without breaking or regenerating the rest of the layout.
It actually understands the spatial constraints. That prevents the incredibly frustrating scenario where the whole page regenerates and you just lose all the parts you actually liked. Neat. But why are we strictly limiting ourselves to just 3 app screens at this stage?
To keep the user flow incredibly simple so the AI doesn't get confused during testing.
Start small to guarantee the core app flow actually works.
Precisely. You do not want to introduce complexity until the foundation is proven. Mid-roll sponsor, read placeholder.
Okay, we're back. We have beautiful, consistent, static screens sitting in Stitch now.
We do.
They look professional. They match our brand DNA perfectly. They're totally ready to go. Now we breathe life into them. We're going to put them on an actual physical phone.
This brings us to level 3, the final step.
Yeah.
We're moving our assets into Google AI Studio.
Okay.
You export those 3 polished screens from Stitch directly into the AI Studio environment.
This handoff is fascinating to me. The static image design provides the user interface for the AI to look at, but your text prompt provides the actual logic.
Yes?
You ask AI Studio to build navigation between the screens. You ask it to make the buttons clickable and, to set up basic content display.
You're essentially telling the model, look at these images, build the code to make them look exactly like this, and then wire them up so they interact.
Right.
But you must keep it simple at this stage. Don't ask for complex databases, logins, or payment gateways yet. Just ask for the basic user flow.
Once Google AI Studio processes your request and writes the underlying code, you test the preview directly on your computer monitor. You click through it with your mouse. You check if the buttons actually take you to the right screens. You check if the text alignment is broken anywhere.
It gives you an immediate sandbox. And if that desktop preview is clean and functional, you go native.
Nice.
You grab your physical Android phone, you dig into the settings, you turn on developer mode, and you enable USB debugging.
It sounds a bit technical, but it really just takes 3 or 4 taps in your phone's settings menu.
Yeah, it's super easy.
Then you literally plug your phone into your computer with a USB cable, and you install the app directly from AI Studio onto the device.
Whoa. Imagine exporting 3 static pictures, and a few seconds later, you're plugging in a USB cable to test a real app on your Android phone. 2-sec silence.
It genuinely feels like magic.
Yeah.
It really does. It completely collapses the distance between an idea and a tangible product.
Absolutely.
But it does lead me to wonder about the current limits of the tech. Like, could we ask AI Studio to wire up a complex backend, like a fully functioning checkout cart, right here in this step?
Not yet. This specific workflow is purely about validating the visual interface and the basic user journey. It's really for prototyping and proving the concept quickly.
So it's a structural test, not the final commercial product.
Exactly. It validates the idea in hours instead of months. Now, Google's ecosystem is incredibly powerful and tightly integrated. But sometimes you want to swap out parts of the engine. Maybe you prefer a different interface or a different underlying model entirely.
Right. We definitely need to look at alternatives. We also really need to discuss how to keep this whole AI train from running off the tracks entirely.
Oh, for sure.
Because safety and oversight are paramount when the machine is moving this fast.
The beauty of the workflow we just discussed is that it's highly modular. You aren't locked into one corporate ecosystem.
Right.
You can easily swap out these individual tools. For example, if you don't like Pomeli, you can just swap it for Canva to build your initial brand kits.
And if you want more control over the web design, you can swap Stitch for Framer AI to build your landing pages. Or you could use Figma Make for even more granular UI design.
Exactly. And for that final step, if you need functional web app prototypes instead of a native Android app, you can swap AI Studio for tools like Lovable or Bolt.
Okay, wow.
You can use Replit for collaborative code editing. You can use Gemini to refine the underlying conversational logic. The stack is totally flexible.
The core philosophy remains exactly the same, though, regardless of the tools. You move sequentially from brand to design to prototype.
Exactly.
But as we said, AI moves incredibly fast. You absolutely need human brakes built into the system.
You absolutely do. AI is a tool, not an autonomous employee.
Yeah.
For instance, AI-generated marketing copy can often be incredibly weak or generic.
Yeah.
It hallucinates corporate buzzwords. You must step in and rewrite it in your actual voice. You must manually check every single image, every button, and every link.
And you have to physically test the mobile layout on different devices. A layout might look perfectly fine on a large desktop monitor, but completely break or, overlap on a smaller, older mobile screen.
Right.
The AI doesn't always catch those edge cases.
Crucially, if you intend to take this beyond a prototype, you must ask a real human developer to review the generated code.
Yes.
You absolutely do this before ever adding real payments, handling customer data, or building user accounts. Security architecture simply cannot be outsourced to an AI alone. It's way too risky.
Which makes me wonder, with the AI doing all the heavy lifting of the actual coding and the pixel-perfect design-do, human developers still matter here.
Absolutely. You must have a human manually check the security, the links, and the edge cases. The developer's role is just shifting from writing boilerplate code to architectural review.
AI builds the house, but humans must inspect the wiring.
That is a perfect analogy. You cannot skip the inspection just because the house went up fast.
Let's step back and look at the big picture here. We have covered a massive amount of ground today.
We really have.
And I think the real takeaway, the magic we're seeing, is not in a single perfectly crafted prompt. There is no magic bullet prompt.
No, there really isn't. The true power is in the chain itself. It's the workflow.
It's about giving the AI the deep foundational context of your brand DNA first. You use that structured context to make a clean, logical design.
Right.
And then you use that highly specific design as the exact blueprint for the app's code.
It's a methodical, step-by-step translation of an abstract idea into digital reality.
Right.
You're building those Lego blocks of data carefully, ensuring each layer is solid before adding the next one.
Which brings us to a final thought for you to mull over as we wrap up. When I think about the traditional software development cycle, the months of planning, the massive budgets, the specialized teams, if 3 completely free tools can take a simple logo and spit out a natively running Android app in a single afternoon,
It's wild.
what does the future of software development actually look like for people who have never written a single line of code in their lives?
It's a profound shift. We're essentially moving from an era of coding to an era of directing.
Does the technical barrier to entry even exist anymore? It's something to seriously consider, whether you're an entrepreneur, a designer, or just someone with a cool idea.
Definitely.
We strongly encourage you to grab your own logo. Follow this Pomeli, Stitch, and AI Studio stack. See what you can build yourself this weekend. You might be completely surprised by what you can create.
The tools are really just waiting for your instructions.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep building.